right. Hello, everyone. Good start. Thanks for having me. So yeah, I'm going to talk about Brogue, which, as you rightly said, is a classic roguelike. So I guess it's this button. It is, yeah. So a good way to describe Brogue really is that it's a modern yet classic roguelike. So I'm actually quite curious. Has anyone heard of Brogue? Okay, actually that's more than zero. I'm really happy with that. So it's a classic roguelike. So some of the games you might have heard of are NetHack or Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, and of course the original and often forgotten Rogue, which the genre is named after. So I'll just show you what the game looks like, pretty much. So in roguelikes, pretty much everything is just represented with symbols. There's a laser pointer here somewhere, I think. Okay, so this @ symbol, conventionally, this is the player. So you're looking sort of top down at this sort of environment. You've got other letters representing monsters, NPCs and stuff. The whole game is just sort of made out of symbols. So your objective in Brogue is you come into this randomly generated dungeon full of monsters and items, and you basically have to get your way down to depth 26. So there's a whole series of floors. You got to get down to the depth 26, pick up the Amulet of Yendor, and take it all the way back up and leave out the front door where you came in. You've got to do all of this without dying, because if you die, you have to start again on another completely random dungeon. So it's sort of a strategic game where you have to do it all in one go. The game's also turn-based, so you see the whole game's on a grid, so if you don't move, nothing happens. You can sit there for an hour and think about every single step that you have to make, and sometimes you have to do basically that. Another thing about roguelikes is that usually the items are all unknown at first, so there's usually a process of having to figure out, like, oh, I've got a red potion, which one of the potions in the game is this? And so there's sort of like constant risk trade-offs you're having to make when you're using items. So Brogue, I mentioned it's a modern classic roguelike. So it started development in 2009, which is several decades after a lot of the classics did. And it was made by a guy called Brian, which I'm pretty sure is where the name comes from, like it's Brian's Rogue. And he basically developed it completely as a hobby. The game is completely open source, like most roguelikes are. So you can you can play it completely for free. There are a few things about Brogue that make it really quite special in the genre, and make it a really widely recommended game for people who are like, I want to play a roguelike, which one should I start with? People often recommend Brogue. So let me show you what NetHack looks like quickly. So this is what NetHack looks like in comparison. So these games came about from old sort of terminal computers, like many decades ago. So it kind of ties into Stanley's point about like, what are you good at? It's like these games were kind of made by programmers, and the art is what programmers could just do on a terminal screen. So comparing this to Brogue, there's a lot less color that was on the previous slide. There's a lot less on-screen information. If I skip back to Brogue again and show you the full screen, you've got this sidebar here which shows you lots of stats about what's on the screen, highlights items of interest, places of interest, monsters with the health, the status, all this kind of stuff. So that's something that's really quite special about Brogue, is how much information it puts on the screen. Another thing that's really quite special about Brogue is that the environments are really amazing. So this is actually the fabled depth 26 here. We've got big lava lakes. We've got hang on, let me use the pointer. So you've got sort of this luminescent fungus here, and it all casts it all casts like dynamic lighting on all the environment and everything. And that's something that's really special about Brogue. A lot of these games like don't look that nice. Another thing is that monsters interact with each other. They keep prisoners that you can free. You can gain allies. They travel in packs. The dungeon feels really alive in a way that like a lot of other roguelikes don't. So the full colored lighting engine, I mentioned this already. There's also a fully dynamic like gas system with lots of different types of gas. It's flammable, so this is an enormous explosion happening over a lake. And this is also with the graphical mode on, so we also have a tile set, but you know, a lot of people actually don't like the tiles because they really like the aesthetic of the game. There's lots of traps, there's weapons with knockback, there's spells which let you control monsters' movements, and all of that really adds up to create a game with a lot of really tactical environmental combat. So you're using what you have and the environment to sort of stay alive and kill things. So it's very tactical in that way. The final thing that's quite special about Brogue is that it's fully item-based progression. So if I go back here to NetHack, you'll see at the bottom row here, there's all these stats. A lot of roguelikes start with you like making a character, like in Dungeons and Dragons. You pick stats, you pick a class, and all this stuff. Brogue is designed around you open the game, you press play, and you're in the game. So it's fully based on just what items you have in your inventory, which makes it conceptually simple as well. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about my part of the project, which is Brogue Community Edition. So Brogue didn't make releases very often, every couple of years typically. And in 2019, there was a new version of the game that sadly had like a couple of pretty major bugs in that people realized like needed to be fixed to. The batteries have just come out of that. That's brilliant. So basically we knew the game had to be patched, and there were a couple of patched versions floating around, and I was like, we really should get a canonical version of Brogue that we can all agree on to play. And so I sort of started Brogue CE as to fill that role. There's quite a lot of initial just boring software foundational work to do. Brogue was a one-man project. It wasn't really designed, thank you so much. It wasn't really designed to be easy to develop in some ways. So there was a lot of initial work getting a cross-platform build system working, replacing some platform-specific code. And so now we have one code base which builds for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and with some modifications, iOS, Android. Someone ported it to Switch once as well. And basically, in the 6 years since, we've just sort of been carrying on developing Brogue in a way. We've been trying to do the same design as the original game. So we've been emphasizing the same things that I talked about before. A lot of it is quality of life changes. A lot of it is UI stuff. Essentially, we're trying to help the player play the game. That's, I think, summarizes our philosophy. We're trying to make sure that the things about Brogue that are hard are the things which are meant to be hard. Like, staying alive in the dungeon and getting to the amulet. We don't want them to be struggling to figure out what's going on screen. So a couple of examples of what we've done here. This was a really big contribution that someone made. So Brogue has aiming, so for throwing items or casting spells. Because it's on a grid, you have these weird sort of steppy lines. So we now have a system in the game where when you target something with a throwable or a spell, it will adjust the parameters of the line to make it so that you don't hit obstacles that you don't like need to, you know. So in here you could aim a bit further on and you could hit this goblin here. But the game will now do that for you automatically. And other things, when you're casting a lightning spell which can go through multiple enemies, it will adjust the line to go through as many enemies as it can on the way to its target. So that's the kind of thing that we've added a lot to the game. Some other things are adding on-screen hints to monster descriptions. So if you have a certain item that's particularly good against a monster or does nothing to a monster, it will say that in the description to give you a sort of some context about some interactions. Another thing we've put quite a lot of work into is deducing information for the player. So we talked about the items being unknown. We've added a lot more cases where when you use an item and you don't know what it is, we automatically read context about that use of the item. We figure out, you know, could the player figure out what this item was from what they just saw? And if we know they can, then we just reveal the item for them. An example of that is if you cast a wand on a monster and it disappears, you don't know whether or not it was an invisibility wand or a teleportation wand, because it might have just gone somewhere else, right? Whereas if you have the telepathic status, where you can see the locations of all the monsters on the level, then you know whether it was an invisibility or a teleportation. So we can reveal the item in that case. So that's an example of one that CE added. And I'm happy to say, as a result of all of this work that people have done, Community Edition is now accepted pretty much as the main way to play Brogue. Even Brian has this version listed on his website. He says, go here to play Brogue. So it's been really successful in that regard, and I'm really happy about it. I just want to close just with a few points of some couple of things I learned from sort of maintaining this project. The first one is that people will just do a lot of great work for the fun of it. I guess this kind of ties into Stanley's point as well. People love Brogue. It's been out for as I say, 15 years. And some of these contributions we've had are really, really cool. I spoke about the graphics before. Someone added this whole system for when you resize the window, it keeps all of the text looking really sharp. I don't know if you guys know what font hinting is, but we basically have custom font hinting in the game. It was pretty complex. It's really cool stuff, and someone just did that. So yeah, there's lots of amazing contributions. The other thing is that contributors, they come and go. This is the case for every open source project. A lot of contributors just do one thing just because it's annoying them, and they just don't do anything else, which is totally cool. But some people stick around for a year or more, and then you never hear from them ever again, which is obviously it's a hobby game, but it's something about I don't really know where I'm going with this point, but anyway, it's just something that's I've just observed. It gives some eras to the project as well. The third thing I've learned is that saying no to contributions. I really, really hate doing it, especially when people do the work up front. But Brogue CE has goals. Its goals are to be uncontroversial. Its goals are to be, to be high quality and keep the quality of Brogue. And sometimes things don't really fit in with that. Every open source project has to kind of deal with this. But it's something I've kind of come to face with. And on the flip side of that, the fourth point, which I'm really not very good at, is that if people take on responsibility, it's really, really good to give them authority. What I mean by that is that I think I've been a bit slower than I could have been giving some long-term maintainers, like opening up the project more, and that's something that I think is really important, having been on the other end of this. And I guess maintaining a project is kind of hard. There's lots of challenges involved in it. Overall, I'm really, really proud of Brogue CE, and I'm really happy with all of the contributors that we've had. I think I felt the most pride when I saw some person commenting online about CE, and he said that I keep expecting them to screw it up, but they never do. That's Brogue CE. Shout out all these guys. These are some major contributors. And you can find Brogue just by searching it, Brogue game. Definitely add the game, otherwise you'll just get shoes. I'm also looking for work. I'm a software engineer, so if that's of interest, come talk to me afterwards. Thank you.
All right. It turns out there are in fact 4 kinds of game.